Guys, I was just joined by Visit Chachi and Vendor after this amazing win against Unicorns of Love. Well, thank you guys for joining me and congratulations, of course. Chachi, it must have been weird for you to play against your own teammates, right?
Thank you very much. Yes, it was quite a weird feeling to face them on the rift, on the other side of the rift this time. And well, it was quite a controlled game, and I feel like we made a few mistakes, but it was like a solid play from us.
Was it an advantage for you to know how the mid laner and the AD carry opponent were playing?
It was a bit of advantage because I know like their champion pools and such, so we were discussing this thoroughly with the coaching staff, and we were like trying to draft around it a bit. Apart from that, it's like play styles are really hard to predict, but we know that they like to play aggressive, so we try to abuse it a bit with like a bit of top lane roams or something, and it worked out like once, so that gives a lot of pressure for our mid laner.
Yeah, and Vander, it must have been a special game for you because it was the first as your main role support. How was it last week playing AD carry on stage for the first time?
It was pretty cool to play ADC last week. So it's pretty cool to have a chance to play it on stage as well.
Why is that microphone not on?
Obviously, we're really happy that Upset is back
Yeah.
in the team.
Get him a new microphone. Take our test.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but could you guys share the microphone?
Hello. Okay.
Hey,
I guess you can hear me now. Yeah, so it was pretty cool to play ADC last week, but Upset is the young prodigy of the ADC role, and we have a lot of hopes in him. So we're really happy he's back, and he's gonna carry a lot of games. Today he was still a bit sick, but next week he's gonna pop off.
Well, how do you feel playing around him? Because you've been used to Forgiven for a long time. How is it to play with this new AD carry?
So Upset has a bit more hair. I guess that's the biggest difference actually, because they are both really aggressive in lane, and they both play really good. I think people will actually see a lot of similarities between both of them. Just wait and see.
And Chachi, it's actually the first time you're changing a team since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. How is it to evolve in a new environment with new coaching staff, new teammates also?
Well, it's kind of like a new experience, of course, and I so far really like it because I think I have really good teammates and very supportive coaching staff. So I'm really enjoying playing for Schalke. So I hope it stays like this and we get a lot of success.
About Schalke, I have a last question for you two. You guys were recently introduced in like a whole stadium in front of 40K people. How is it different from what you guys see in here or maybe at Worlds on stage?
Well, there's 50,000 people in the Schalke stadium when we got introduced, and here we have a little bit less, but they're also we really love them as well. But it's really, how to say it, unique experience. We weren't there for a long time, but still we got some recognition, so we feel good that the club is also supporting us and sharing some time between the main football squad and us. It feels great.
And Chachi, how about you?
Yeah, it was quite an experience to stand on the pitch because watching it from an outside perspective, you wouldn't think how it is to stand on the pitch that feels so large from the inside. But it's quite similar to when you go to a large esports event, yeah. For example, a finals of an LCS, when there is 10,000 people watching. So I would say it was similar experience for me to stand on the pitch.
Well, I hope you guys will have to experience that this year in the Spring Split. For now on, we're done on this side of the stage. Thank you guys very much for joining me today. And we're gonna send it back to Shox and the guys for the European post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, Laura. Welcome to the EU LCS post-game lobby. I'm here with Amber, Vedius Day, and Cold from the Unicorns of Love for a closer look at today's games in the Spring Split. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going? Cold, thank you very much for joining us. Mustn't be easy. You guys didn't get off to the best start also in this game versus Schalke. What would you say it came down to in this specific game?
I feel like we were taking a little bit of a gamble in the draft that didn't pay out. I don't want to go too much into it because it will show some of our thought process, but it didn't really turn out the way I expected it to, and that ended up me playing Kane, which I haven't done for quite some time.
Oh, we thought that was planned.
No. But in that moment, it was the only pick that could actually help us win the game, so I had to pick that. But yeah, generally we had a plan, but it didn't really turn out, and then we ended up dying in mid to a roam, and it was rather rough for Exile in the game. And then when you play champs like Kane and you don't get a lead, then they will slowly just grind you out, and you have to wait for your upgrade to actually do anything in the game. And that was kind of what we played on. And then when I got it, I actually felt like we could win the game, but we made some small mistakes. And right now we're in a state where we're still gelling together, so it kind of shows in the games.
Yeah, and I think that's also to be expected, you know, the team is very much reshuffled. We're looking a lot at what is Sheepy going to do with this squad. So what is kind of your guys' time frame? When do you want to be kind of more in sync? Do you have the goal for playoffs? Do you think, no, it's really just about gelling this split?
I mean, the goal for the team is to get to playoffs, and I think everyone on the team understands this and are working hard every day to reach this. I don't know if we will get there, but right now it doesn't look too hot, obviously, with being 0-3. But every day we wake up and we work hard and we have healthy discussions about how we can get better. And that is the most important thing in the team. So I'm not really too worried about being 0-3 as long as it doesn't affect like how you progress as a team in practice and your mindset towards just playing every day in general.
But I've got to ask, Cold, because I feel like that recently you've been performing extremely well. You've completely changed up your playstyle. You seem to be playing way more assassins. You're hyper-aggressive now. And I feel like that during the off-season, you know, you went away, you took a break, you even went to Brazil to do some personal training. Like, how much did that affect your new mentality, or is it the change in team? What's made this change in Cold?
I think the people that were close to me last year all knew that I was going through some stuff that wasn't really healthy for me. And I needed a mental break to just get away from everything. And that the trip I did to Brazil for 1 month, where I just took a break from everything, kind of just gave me like a reset. And I realized that for me, the most important thing is you do this for a living because you have the passion to play the game. But if you don't actually wake up every day and enjoy what you're doing, then why are you actually doing it? So I realized that I want to wake up every day, have fun, enjoy what I'm doing. And right now, even though we're losing, which really sucks, I'm still like having a good time, and I'm enjoying myself. So I think that's the biggest change, and it kind of shows in my play that I'm trying more stuff. I'm willing to do more stuff in the game, and yeah, I think just happiness overall is kind of pushing me.
I want to follow up on that. You say having more fun trying things. Evelyn, first pick, a Rengar in the second game, a Kane here. Maybe it was forced out, but that definitely feels like a fresh start for you. You say being happy is really important. Is that one of the reasons why you decided to make the Unicorns of Love your new team? Because that's definitely the impression we get of them as an organization.
I mean, it had definitely some impact on it. It was not 100%. That's why, like, I talked a lot with Sheepy before signing with UOL on their vision on the team and how he wants to play the game and all this kind of stuff. And I had a lot of agreements with how he wanted to do things. But yeah, I had some different offers too from other teams where I could go, but I wasn't sure if it was the right thing for me in the moment. It might have been some better teams or some more prestige teams, but I wanted this year to focus more on myself because I haven't really done that in the past years, where the grind just kind of took over playing, and I don't think that was healthy for me.
All right, well, it's a fresh start, and we'll keep track of how the Unicorns of Love evolve. I do want to touch back on the match and on Schalke 04. There, the player of the game was Nukeduck with 42% of the votes. Verius anticipated return of upset, but much like last week also, Nukeduck definitely played his part.
Oh, yeah. He did go for that Malzahar pick. We heard from the casters that he seems pretty comfortable playing pretty much anything into anything, and we saw that from his performance today. I think that they did an effective job of punishing the fact that he was playing the Azir in the mid lane. He was struggling a little little bit, and the moment he hit 6, he was flashing in, he was ulting, and he was really setting up a lot of the early game snowball that Schalke was able to capitalize on.
Very skilled champion.
Oh yes, very skilled champion. A lot of outplaying happened against Exile today.
Yeah, you still got to play it. Cold, what do you think about Schalke 04 as a squad? They have a lot of hype.
I think overall they just have 5 good players that are willing to do stuff for the team, and I think today they played very well. They did some small mistakes that we capitalized on, but overall they had more solid macro play than us, I feel like, and that kind of showed in the game. So I think overall they're gonna be a good team in Europe this split. And since I've been working with some of their staff behind the scenes before, I'm pretty certain they will push them to become a good team.
Oh yeah, that is true. There's some people there that you know from the past. Well, we'll see what happens there as well. But the best team in Europe right now is Vitality. They went into the week as the only team with 2 wins, and they stayed on the winning track as they took down Fnatic after an impressive performance. So people were saying, well, Vitality had a great first week, but now they also beat Fnatic, so it's starting to count, because it's not just that they beat Fnatic, it is how they beat Fnatic.
Yeah, they destroyed Fnatic.
Yeah.
The mid laner Jizuke, we were talking about him versus Caps and how he's kind of now the rookie going up against the veteran who's now been playing for a year. He kind of schooled the veteran.
Yes, but here though, do you also not feel that they were trying to set him up for success a lot?
Of course, like you have to give a lot of credit to Gilius as well, because they invested in the mid lane. It's a strategy we've seen used against Fnatic too, but like, look at the fancy footwork on this guy. He had an amazing performance, and Jizuke certainly has become one of the most exciting players to watch here in Europe.
Yeah, throughout this PGL, we want to keep track of some of the impressive rookies. I was going to say Jukis. Jizuke is a rookie, and he's doing really well. Cold. It must be really cool for these new players. They have a bit of stress to play games like this. Do you think this is gonna help the Vitality squad develop fast into like main tier?
Definitely. Like I think when I look at their team, it's a team that is rather based around confidence. And when they get confidence, then they will take more aggressive decisions in the game, and that is what they're doing right now. We see Gilius like ganking left and right and just tilting Caps off the roof. Yeah, I would not want to want it to be Caps that game. But I feel like with time they are gonna be worse than they are now, actually, because what we don't actually talk much about is that the core of the team and the shot calling of the team has been together for a long time, where a lot of other teams are just completely new, and that's why I think they should have an advantage. And just judging off practice, I don't think they're going to be that good to split.
Wow, that's actually really interesting, because something that we were discussing about with regards to this roster is that they are very used to winning. They came through Challenger, winning a lot of games. They were able to beat out Schalke and with a like top-seeded team coming in through. And now they've joined the LCS, and they've just kept winning.
They're still winning.
And it makes you wonder what happens when they hit that first bump.
drops.
How do they adapt? How do they grow? Because they've shown that right now they're looking very good, but their ability to adapt and come back from deficits is still something that we're yet to see.
I want to turn it to the other team then. You say, well, Vitality has 4 members that have played together for so long, so it shouldn't be that hard for them, while other teams are figuring it out. Fnatic only changed 1 member coming into the split and is running into these issues. But then it could be that it's just that one change, and Hylissang might be very different for Fnatic than other changes on other teams. What do you think, Cold?
Ooh, I mean, I have never played with Hylissang myself, so I don't want to judge too much, but I don't think necessarily he is what's going to make them get to a new level. Maybe it's their new coaching staff or staff in general that can help them push themselves, but I wouldn't be too worried about Fnatic. I think they have shown really great early games, and they just need to know how to utilize their leads they get in the mid game. So I wouldn't be too worried. And then they always do the classic, when they fall behind, then Reckless will start split pushing and this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's the best play, but that's always their fallback play. And actually in this game, Vitality punished him for doing it. Nice voice.
Super hard.
I think they're going to be doing it a lot more too. Like the fact that
Fnatic
this is,
or Vital?
Fnatic. The fact that they keep relying on Reckless to suddenly carry them from when they're behind, I think is something that we have seen become a point of constant punishment. That last year or last split even, teams couldn't effectively shut down. But it seems like teams have a much better read on Fnatic coming into this split. And I have to echo what Cold was saying. The mid game seems to be very shocking right now for Fnatic. I still think they're figuring out what it's like to have Hylissang, how to shot call, the communication within the team. But it seems very messy. A little.
And how often do you get to see Hylissang play Janna?
That's true. That is very true.
Flash Monsoon every time as an engage tool. No, obviously we'll have to track how that evolves from the side of Fnatic. They're also going up against G2 tomorrow, but we'll talk about that a
very
bit
exciting.
later. I do want to touch on some other matches first. Misfits Gaming. A lot of familiar faces there for Cold, I think. They secured their second win of the split against H2K. It was slow. The first blood came really late, and then all of a sudden the game turned around and they found the win. I don't know if this is with caster audio or not, if we're going to take a look at that replay or if we're just going to take a look at it. There we go. So first, nothing happened, Various. There was a technical issue. We came back and the game was over.
Yeah, so HJK tried to force a Baron in a not optimal time, and the way they played around it was just a little odd by grouping up in the pit and kind of locking themselves in a cage without any real way out. Misfits saw this as a free opportunity to pretty much claim an easy objective, and then they saw an opportunity and they just kept running it down top, and it felt like the H2K, after that small blunder, just couldn't really find their footing once again.
Yeah, I wonder if that's also a bit of the experience of some of the members of Misfits who've played together for a while, that they made that call and then they just decided to close out, which isn't such an easy thing as what we've seen. Teams have struggled with closing games out.
But I also think the game was a very Misfits-ish game, with just a slow play. They were grinding out their opponents in vision, and then they had a really strong core of Zoe and Kog'Maw that can work together in the mid game when they get their item spikes. And then the moment they had their spikes, they took fights, and Kog'Maw was just rolling over people in the game. So I think they played the game the way they're supposed to. So which is kind of the way that Misfits wants to play the game. So I think this was just, I think they're happy with how the game worked for them, and this is probably how they're gonna play more in the future.
Yeah, we can see what happens. Sankox and Mickey X are guys that you played with for so long. What do you think of them in that configuration with those other teammates? How do you think they will do with that lineup?
I think in the start it will take a little bit time for them to get used to the system that Misfits wants to use in game. But I think they're both rather hungry to try something new. It's kind of the same with me. Like all of, it's funny because I was sitting down doing an interview yesterday, and people were asking me like, "Well, how is it like? What was it like when everyone split up from each other?" And honestly, like I knew this would happen like long time before it actually happened. So I'm just excited to watch how they do and how they can grow in another team and learn something. Because when you play together for 2 years and you're kind of stagnating and you're in the same environment all the time, maybe you need an outside point of view to like, how do you push yourself harder, or how do you get better at this area, or there's a lot of things in the game you can always learn, and I hope they succeed. They are good friends of mine, so
Happy mentality, always positive, Mr. Cold over
Yeah,
here.
he's now a Unicorns of Love player too, so they're genuinely, naturally very
everything
happy.
happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. Giants, they won again, and that happened for a reason as well. They've put on
they're
a
good.
great
Really
showing
good.
so far. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, okay, so, and they took down the EULCS champions of G2 earlier today. I mean, what a great way to start, right? One player that we had our eyes on was Ruin coming into the split. We talked about how he was an exciting individual. He was the only remaining rookie on the Giants roster. You can leave, I can just sit here with Cold, I'll be fine. But he had an amazing performance. Again, he did fine in lane, but his true power came in these late game team fights.
Yeah, absolutely insane. This time on Gnar, of course, it was on Ornn last week around. We were thinking, okay, is this a fluke? Is this gonna happen again? And it was almost like he 1v5'd. Although I don't want to take anything away from the rest of the team, obviously, but Ruin is an impressive rookie. Cold. Is it the most impressive rookie you've seen so far? Or is there anyone else?
I remember last week when me and White Knight decided to gank him. He played the most insane outplay with Ornn, just pressing W under the tower, and we cannot kill him. Like, it was the most insane play ever.
I mean,
So
you still died.
I probably watched it like 20 times, and it was
We also
thickest
keep
outplay.
showing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Every time I have an argument with White, and I'll just put this up and see how she got outplayed with Ornn.
But one of the big things I do want to say about Rune is, while, yes, certain elements of outplay were involved in his laning phase, his true strength does come when he gets an advantage in the side lane and then he brings it to his team. And while the rest of Giants have been playing fantastically, you can credit every single member for their performance today, it's just a lot about what Ruin does and his positioning and how he gets involved in these fights that, for me, has been really impressive considering how new he is to the LCS.
And that could be the key also. We asked the question, will these rookies or upstarts, these new EU LCS faces, be the ones that get the others on Giants going? And that seems to be the case. The fire has been lit on that team, so we should see how it evolves. Cold, you said before we shouldn't be worried about Fnatic. What's your opinion about G2?
Ooh, I mean, it's up in the air, kind of. Honestly, it's so hard when we talk about some of these new teams where they're just putting in players together, because we really have no clue how they're gonna work out in the end. I think around like week 4 or 5, we will have a better read on teams, also on UOL as a team. Like, I don't know right now how we're gonna work out. All I know is that we work our hardest every day to reach a level where we can compete against any team, and that is how every team is approaching the situation right now. So we will just have to see. I think they have strong players on every role. I think Wonder was actually probably the guy that I learned the most from Splice, and he's probably one of the most underrated players in the league. So I think with time they will be very good.
Well, it is a big question. Vedi, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well as we take a look at the standings, as we see Vitality still undefeated at the top of the league, and then we have Giants, Rocket, Misfits, and Schalke. At what point do we stop saying, oh, Giants doing well, Rocket doing well, you know, it's best of ones, it is the first couple of weeks of the split, and at what point do we start saying, you know what, these teams are actually good, and others are just not at the right spot yet at this
So for me, I'm already happy to say it. I'm sure that it would be great to have another week of games and have a little bit more evidence. But for teams like Giants, for teams like Vitality, I'm looking at these rosters and I'm seeing already a lot of growth and a lot of potential very early on in the split. And it's just about how long can they carry this on for. Whereas teams like Fnatic and G2, I feel like that considering what they were to what they are now, I'm very shocked with the sudden drastic change, especially with a team like Fnatic that didn't really make that many changes. And I feel like right now, they are a kind of a middle-of-the-pack team. And I hope that they're able to rectify their issues quickly, because you've got a lot of young talent, very keen, very eager, that just want to be the best as quickly as possible.
When you look at, obviously for you guys now 0-3, and the fact that it's best of ones again, does it feel different? Is it more scary being 3 games down, or is it less scary?
I think it's
then if you lose,
equally
scary. I mean, if you lose a best of 3, right, it might impact you harder, but in the end of the day, that's only one series that you lost, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would always rather play more games and get more time on stage, especially when you're a new team. Like, I see so much difference from how we play in practice and how we play on stage, and that doesn't just change over the night. That will change. That takes a lot of games on stage, being able to do exactly what you do in practice in game and stuff like this. So it will just take time, and whoever gets to the point where you play the same level in practice on stage the fastest will just wrap up games. And I also think maybe Giants, yeah. I mean, they are saying they are playing just as good in on stage. So
can you confirm?
I cannot confirm anything. I mean, against us, they kind of just slaughtered us. So yeah, I mean, they were playing well. I think there's also like a good debate of like how the meta is evolving. We see a lot of the teams that are getting wins now are playing very focused on scaling champions.
Oh yeah.
And if you are a team that wants to actually improve a lot, playing more early game comps, where you need to do every step correct in order to win the game, is way more rewarding in that way. But and maybe will make you a better team in the long run. Whereas now, if you just pick for scaling comps and try to farm for 25 minutes, maybe you can get a win or two. But does that really help you improve as a team? So I think it's just different approaches to how you want to get better as a team, and every team has different approach. And I see a lot of the teams that are winning now are playing very heavily on scaling, and sure, that might be the meta right now, but I think if you actually execute early game comps in the state of the game, then you can actually just roll over these scaling comps because you're giving up so much pressure in the early game.
But it's risky. We saw Misfits do it last week, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm looking at this and I think that as long as you make playoffs, that's the ultimate goal of any team, because during the regular season, you're trying to improve, you're trying to get better, and you want to work on your synergy, and naturally having more games makes it much easier. But I still think that teams that are consistently improving will pick up wins, and the top 6 teams in Europe will be able to secure a spot in playoffs. And when I look at it, I think that the ultimate goal of every team should be, we want enough points of playoffs, but really we just want to get as good as we possibly can in time for that moment so that we can really show our stuff, very much like Misfits did in summer of last year.
Well, that's what we're tracking right now. The same goes for two very interesting teams that are playing tomorrow. We get the first fight between Fnatic and G2 in our match of the week as they face off in a clash of kings. Before we talk it over, let's take a look at what is in store.
Guys, I was just joined by Visit Chachi and Vendor after this. Guys, I was just joined by Visit Chachi and Vendor after this amazing win against Unicorns of Love. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and congratulations, of course. Chachi, it must have been weird for you to play against your own teammates, right?
Thank you very much. Yes, it was quite a weird feeling to face them on the rift, on the other side of the rift this time. And well, it was quite a controlled game, and I feel like we made a few mistakes, but it was like a solid play from us.
Was it an advantage for you to know how the mid laner and the AD carry opponent were playing?
It was a bit of advantage because I know like their champion pools and such, so we were discussing this thoroughly with the coaching staff, and we were like trying to draft around it a bit. Apart from that, it's like play styles are really hard to predict, but we know that they like to play aggressive, so we try to abuse it a bit with like a bit of top lane roams or something, and it worked out like once, so that gives a lot of pressure for our mid laner.
Yeah, and Vander, it must have been a special game for you because it was the first as your main role support. How was it last week playing AD carry on stage for the first time?
It was pretty cool to play
Yeah.
ADC last week.
Nimm's ihm weg, habe ich gesagt.
Habe ich ihm auch gesagt.
So it's pretty cool to have a chance to play on stage as well.
Why is that microphone not on?
Obviously, we're really happy that Upset is back
Yeah.
in the team.
Get him a new microphone. Take our attention.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but could you guys share the microphone?
Hello. Okay.
Hey,
I guess you can hear me now. Yeah, so it was pretty cool to play ADC last week, but Upset is the young prodigy of the ADC role, and we have a lot of hopes in him. So we're really happy he's back, and he's gonna carry a lot of games. Today he was still a bit sick, but next week he's gonna pop off.
Well, how do you feel playing around him? Because you've been used to Forgiven for a long time. How is it to play with this new AD carry?
So Upset has a bit more hair. I guess that's the biggest difference actually, because they are both really aggressive in lane, and they both play really good. I think people will actually see a lot of similarities between both of them. Just wait and see.
And Chachi, it's actually the first time you're changing a team since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. How is it to evolve in a new environment with new coaching staff, new teammates also?
Well, it's kind of like a new experience, of course, and I so far really like it because I think I have really good teammates and very supportive coaching staff. So I'm really enjoying playing for Schalke. So I hope it stays like this and we get a lot of success.
About Schalke, I have a last question for you two. You guys were recently introduced
At the end of the split. Right now, they are struggling, but getting a win tomorrow for both those teams and kind of asserting their dominance over the other king is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, Cold, do you think you can pick a clear favorite for that matchup, or due to the circumstances, is it really up in the air?
Oof. It's really hard, honestly. I would probably put Fnatic as the favorite, just due to the fact that I think G2 has been looking weaker in the games where the 2 games last week from Fnatic, they looked very strong. They just messed up a little bit in the second game that made them lose the game. So I would put them as the favorite. I think it's probably gonna be a lot of fighting in mid, and
Please.
if I know the 2 mid laners well enough, then it's probably just gonna be the luckier jungler or the better jungler that wins. So
So who's the better jungler?
that's a good question. That's a good question.
We'll find out tomorrow.
I do want to say though, if one of them picks Skarner, I don't think that one is going to be the lucky one. But other than that, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch.
Vedius, do you want to say it? Who's the better jungler? Who's the better team?
Right now, I think that Fnatic are the stronger team, but I look at some of the individual performers and I see people like Wonder, who's really been stepping up. I think Jankos and Perks together have been really good. If they just play a similar style to what Vitality did, there's no reason why G2 can't take that game.
All right, I'd love to talk to you guys a bit more about that matchup, but we do have to wrap up soon. And there are 4 other interesting matchups. Tomorrow, we're going to start off with H2K versus Giants. We're also going to have Vitality looking to go 4-0 as they go up versus Misfits. Cold, you guys are up versus Roccat tomorrow. Roccat has had a pretty good start as well. What do you think it's going to come down to there?
Draft.
Draft.
If my coach is good, we'll win.
All right, well.
All the pressure on Sheepy right now.
No, I think honestly right now we are just trying our best every game, and I don't think there's much difference in skill. Like we could have easily been 1 and 2 at this point.
It's true.
A
base race.
Yeah,
Very
I mean,
clear.
there's just a lot of factors that go into this. So I think just judging of how we play in practice, I think if we play almost near that, then we can easily beat Rocket. So honestly, just comes down to how we play on the day and how prepared we are, and we will do our best.
Well, we will see. Vedius, is Vitality going to be fear, that's Dutch, 4-0 after playing Misfits tomorrow?
I think that Misfits will be able to take the win tomorrow and they will end their streak. I like the way Misfits have been playing. I like the control. I like the confidence from them. And I cannot wait to see Gilius and Maxtor finally butt heads and prove once and for all who is the better jungler between the two.
I wish it could be right now, but we're going to sleep on it and then come back to watch these games. And after our broadcast, LCS Academy is also going to take over, starting with a fight between Clutch Gaming Academy and CLG Academy. And in case you missed any of today's action, remember that you can catch all of the games when they are rebroadcast immediately following LCS Academy. That's going to do it from us. Thank you very much for joining us, Cold. Thank you very much for joining me, Vedius. Good luck tomorrow. And join us tomorrow for more